think I may have lost sound. I don't hear anything. Not sure. Maybe nobody's talking.
Looks like it should be working.
That's better.
Okay,
I can hear you now. All right, thank you.
TPMPD mission statement. To provide a welcoming public aquatics facility managed in a fiscally responsible manner with a focus on educating all ages in the lifelong skills of water safety. We carry out this mission with a board and staff who are compassionate, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of a diverse community, working to foster positive and lifelong experiences with the aquatic environment. TPMPD vision statement, contributing to the quality of life for our community and for generations to welcoming, fun, safe, and positive aquatic experiences in the intellectual community.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome. I couldn't hear you guys.
Oh, we heard you.
Okay, good.
Okay, roll call. Let's start with Vanessa.
Ms. Apple present. Commissioner Gengler present.
Gary.
Commissioner Frangelo Anderson present.
Via Zoom. And Commissioner Aaron Shipman present. And then, of course, we're also joined with our aquatics manager, Anastasia Shapiro, and our aquatics director. Executive Director, Carpet, and our new project manager / owner rep, right?
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Commissioner Russ. I second.
Is there any discussion? I hope he's having a great time wherever she's at. All in favor of excusing Commissioner Debbie Russ, say aye.
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 Okay. Next one for approved agenda.
Do we want to move anything on the agenda?
Let's talk about
Brandy,
the discussion. Thank you. Who's that?
Ellen was asking if we would like to move any, is there any need to move anything? So, no. Commissioner Zappel makes a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Commissioner Gengler seconds.
Is there any discussion? Anything scheduled? Okay. All in favor of the approving agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. And the approval motion passes. Staff spotlight.
Okay. So let's start. Oh, okay. So yes, coming back to you now. I know that we weren't doing employee of the month, but this is highlighting a employee because of just his growth that he has shown. I want to say in the course of 2 months, we held a front desk in service. We talked a lot about some general improvements you can see, and I want to say that Brian was the only one who took it to heart. Like they all took it to heart, but he really pushed it. He's loud and clear. He's confident in his delivery. He asked questions when needed. And Brian has been with the organization, I want to say 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. So he's been with us a while. And he's been one of our most consistent, one of our most continuously highlighted employees. So I just want to say that we appreciate the growth we see in Brian and how he was just so quick to make positive change after just one training. So it was great to see. He always wants to make sure people walk away with a positive experience. So just want to say thank you to Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
That's very cool. Customer service is so important, especially in like community organizations like this. So this is so wonderful to hear. Really appreciate them.
Yeah. And then citizen comments. Is there anybody in the room that would like to make a comments? Anybody online that would like to make comments? We have, so was it just the one?
Well, you see the comment, you see the response, happy to answer any question.
I wonder if it would be, if people would feel the process has been so slow if they had to do it. Like if we had, like when you go and confirm your airline thing, if they had to press in all the buttons for putting their information rather than telling somebody, they'd be more engaged, and therefore I don't think would blame us as much. So,
I mean, just to be clear, once you set up an account, then it's, it's just the first time.
well, I know, but if you're just here for one time,
People have an expectation with community recreation that you should be able to just walk in. We do not follow what other community rec centers typically do. People are used to just paying $3-4, get a day pass and walk into the facility. Some rec centers, when we've heard it on our insurance calls, sign a booklet, it's just a bunch of lines with a date, first name, last name, and you're signing your waiver right there on the spot as you pay the $3 and you're in the pool in no time. So yeah, our process, as we know from the very beginning, it's a lot of work, especially if you have a number of kids and trying to get everyone's waivers completed. So yeah, it is a process. One thing we did find, Ellen, to your comment, maybe they do it, and we find even more pushback.
oh, when they have to do it,
Say, hey, you want to speed up this process, QR codes here, and you can quickly, and it has been interesting to hear feedback from folks over the years, just how daunting it is to have to do this before you can just get started. And we tell them, I mean, if you're willing to do X, Y, and Z, your kids can start getting ready, you guys can start, getting your bands, but we constantly hear negative feedback.
Is there, I mean, I was trying to make it, like, how you where you said like a sheet of paper you sign in on that thing, that we were able to just do basically like the generic drop in, like you waive all your rights.
Don't do it, don't do it.
I think insurance is-
You spent too
Right.
many.
I know, like you hear in that part came up.
Yeah, they are trying to move any and all organizations that are practicing that away from anything. There needs to be an intentional effort to put the waiver in front of a customer, because through some litigation, judges have thrown out in favor of the plaintiff. Because they need to take the time to read it, and they weren't shown the highlights or the part that specifically says you can die from the
Well,
for example.
Linwood, after we left WCIA, the board meeting last year, Linwood, they were not operating that way. They actually called us to ask how we do our waivers, because for years they were operating without waivers. And their insurance, who's, I believe, also our insurance, started requiring actual documented signatures on their waivers. So it's a pretty big change, but I guess it depends on the insurance company that you're with. But for some people, I don't know how Seattle Park schools operate. For some, that's kind of the expectation to just
And I think the good news is like City of Temple is, as far as if you're going down to rec center,
Yeah.
it's the same software as what we use, so it's very similar, and then you have to do waiver every time I sign up for a class.
Well, that's just if you're not like a full membership type thing.
I have a full membership, every time I go into a class that I register, I have to push the button to,
You hit the acknowledge.
well, it's got my initials.
But you have an initial, like, rundown.
We want the full signature moving forward. We're spending some time on. So it'll be interesting.
So we're not doing that every time you pool.
No, we say your waiver is good for the year. We have the benefit, we are a single focus and a single use type entity. Where if you're in a large recreation district like Seattle and you're attending all these other programs, it's a waiver for every single thing you do, and it needs to be very specific to the program you're participating in versus the generic one-off. So I guess my point is, and we don't need to do it on this is not an insurance discussion. This, what I find interesting about community and the people that access the facility is you can't tell me that you haven't flown potentially. You're never on an airline. You don't go to any other experiential kind of recreation type service center. You sign your kids up for swim lessons or day camp programs and everything else, and you have to fill out a ton of paperwork. So it's just interesting to see who chooses to make the comment. But we have recognized internally, I don't think our process currently needs to change until we figure out what we're doing regarding our long-term development.
I mean, I can definitely see it being like, you know, like a parent, this is like the third or fourth time they've had to deal with it this week type thing, but like.
Well, these people are driving up to the job.
What, you know?
You know,
But it is like, that's the, like, it's true, and it is like everywhere it has to be.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but you know, I don't know if that is even like, I mean, the carry this conversation on, but you know, if it is part of like front desk training on like, you know, response of like people are like, what, just like, yeah, unfortunately, it's a change of time with insurance and, you know.
Well, it's not just that, but it's, again, what we expect as an
Or the
organization.
positive thing, saying that we really want to keep your child safe. This is part of the process of us doing.
thank you for visiting each other.
Exciting. Okay, any other citizens comments that have shown up also? Next, motion should be coming up then.
Commissioner Zeppelin makes a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Commissioner Degler seconds.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of passing the consent agenda as is, say aye.
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 Aye. Passes. Okay, we are on to reports. Executive Director report.
Commissioner training and compliance, everyone reports are due by April 15th. So if you have not yet made that, priority, you still have time, so April 15th, minus Debbie. She was, in candidacy, or filing that she was, running for candidacy, so, really pretty straightforward information, all things we've talked about until things, when we start closing the door on some of these items. The biggest thing that you'll see coming up soon, I'd say the next month to 2 months, is gonna be our emails that will be transitioning, solely to the Google Workspace and Gmail Office Suite. So that rollout, we're starting to figure out internally, and once we do, we'll start rolling it out amongst, the entirety of our organization. The, compliance audit, we have our 3-year financial audit that is essentially wrapped up March 19th. I believe we have a tentative date for an exit interview. And so more to come if that shift, as of right now, that is our tentative, exit interview date. Very good, on attending that, as well as Amy, our bookkeeper, myself, and anyone else that would like to join us, we'll send out an invite. Annual accountability audit, this is our standard, this happens every year, that one is just ongoing, that one started as we were wrapping up the 3-year. And then our annual report is not due till May 30th. Hopefully by April, we can get off our plates, it's kind of our goal internally. We also had our Washington State Patrol audit, technical security audit, that has to do with our systems, our security or compliance, so on and so forth from behind the scenes. That was completed, as well as our business audit. That one is more of an on-site, how information is being stored, shared, who accesses it, where is it accessible, so on and so forth. Also reviewing policy, and not only just policy, but more so the procedures and how fingerprinting is being performed within the organization. And then Washington City's Insurance Authority, that is our insurance company. We have our, we have our annual review scheduled potentially for March 24th with our risk representative, Carlene. Anastasia will be present for that as our alternate. So we'll be digging into the items listed there. The last big thing that we'll talk much about, district office, our district clerk is out on leave with a tentative return to work date of March 21st. Just throwing that out there. And then let me just skim real quick and I'll jump back up. Maintenance, the biggest maintenance piece coming up is our fire alarm system. We have some work to do on our beam detectors. And those will be getting replaced once the work is officially scheduled. Everything's been signed off on. We're just waiting for a scheduling date to get the work completed so we can avoid the nuisance side of our alarms. Overhead pool lighting, which is a CIP item, that is also in the works. We started discussing, we've also started looking at product, trying to figure out the best kind of pathway. We met also with Aaron, just to kind of walk through and just give a secondary opinion before we start pulling the trigger in certain areas. So good information are out there. We need to package it and put it out to see who can provide us that support to get our overhead lights 150% brighter than what it is now. We have some failing fixtures. Plumbing repairs are minor. Water slide removal is also a capital improvement project for this year to remove the slide from the pool deck. If you guys remember, health department deemed it unsafe. So, which means you cannot use it due to the footings are rusting and the bolts are rusting out. So there's a security issue there. So there's a fix, but it makes more sense to do the fix on the newer facility than to continue to retrofit the existing facility. So again, just weighing where cost should be spent, and at this point in time, I think we'll have the slide dismantled and removed from the pool deck. Ongoing development and capital planning. Yay. Hey, it's turning into the new fun committee.
Fun.
I'll work my way up. So Karen Matthews is our commercial realtor who continues to be digging through Tukwila as a whole, is identifying, creatively identifying alternative sites based on the information we've provided him at the beginning of our, at the time we started our contractual agreement with him. So work continues, nothing major to report out. Any and all information that has been provided was provided through ARC Architects. If the site deemed some worthiness to look at and explore, but everything Peter has shared with us is not being taken into consideration and or explored, just based on kind of our own internal discussions and parameters. What we believe to be feasible versus what others believe might work. TCC site continues to move along with ARC Architects. Feasibility work on that site, discussions with ARC, the city, internal and leadership, as well as Randy Fox, our owner's rep. These are regular discussions that we continue to vet out. I anticipate ARC wrapping up their section of the first phase of work within the next couple of weeks, would be a fair assessment, just so everybody's in the loop there. CPMI, Seattle Inc. owner rep Randy Fox is with us tonight, actually. So if anything comes up or anything's too challenging, if we get into any questions, Randy's more than happy to support us on any type of question and answer, but also more than happy to provide an update as well. My goal tonight, I guess we'll wait till your PDC update and then we'll ask a question of the group. But yeah, I know executive director for Lester's questions. Gary?
Nope, I don't have any questions. Thank you. Good report.
Yeah, please.
Just on the water side, was that like on the CIP for like just general maintenance stuff, replacement?
On CIP
This year.
specifically to remove. Just
No, added CIP and
kind of alter, we had slide stuff on there in the past, but this time it's more It's been altered to essentially address the roof. Yeah.
But it wasn't kind of originally on there.
I think there was some slide step replacement and upgrades in the day, stuff like that. So
Was, like, I guess I'm thinking of like, just like budget wise, like in the CIP, like the cost of what that was set up for versus how much you think it's gonna cost for like removal. Maybe we could,
I think you could, well, that's a good question. If the health department deemed it unsafe for our, it would be hard to have another district. The other thing I learned,
but it's unsafe due to mountain.
correct, but let me finish so what I've learned when wanting to sell specific equipment from aquatic facilities is the risk associated. So one of the pieces, I remember we were going through the diving board project. And I had a mom in the stand with Alpha Diving. She's like, I'd love to have that diving board because you're getting a brand new one. So we would love to take this off your hands and put it at the lake, whatever. And I think it was advised, we were advised against that because we didn't want to carry any risk that goes out the door in the event someone says, you told me it was in good condition, we bought it from you, my kid, it broke in half and they hurt themselves. So that's the only gray area that we need to work through. Could we just sell it as is? I can ask Carlene, our insurance rep, if they would recommend anything like that.
And just to answer your question, the CIP one for that we approved was slide step platform repair / removal 15,000 for this
I guess my thought process on that was maybe to soften the blows of the public with like the removal of the slide, even though we had it like a year and a half now or something. I mean, it's been a while. Like if maybe there was a little bit of money in that part of the CIP for the budget to be able to get like something that's like a fun attraction-esque thing that we could push through for, that maybe something that we could take to the next pool or maybe this month we just, something that will last for the next 3-4 years. But
I mean, if I get a climbing wall there, and Jerry, and you still are finance committee chair, we'll talk about this at FC meeting.
Okay, good idea.
kind of thinking about this.
Yeah, there's a lot of cost savings there. We dismantle it and choose to just scrap the metal. If the scrapyard will pay us for the metal, great. The plastic gets recycled, cut down and recycled. There's some opportunity to have a huge savings. We would need to spend anywhere near what we budget. The other piece of that is you could right size the family amenity. We could do the inflatable slide for the shower pool, which gives parents a little bit more opportunity to actually take advantage of a slide.
Well,
More appropriate area for the families we serve versus those that are just.
Right, because we feel like we're getting very few to do from that use.
Exactly. So things to look at, but great suggestion.
All right. Sorry, so any other questions for Brad? No, okay. Legislative updates. Well, Brad, do that, or Vanessa?
What's that?
Legislative updates.
Oh, no, it's just, yeah, it's just information, and I just got mediated with one, nothing else. There's very specific things right now working its way through the floor, and people are watching things very closely. Because not everything is moving through the way. But nothing that affects the district.
And programs in operation.
Yeah, just want to highlight a couple of things. We have our EdCon coming up, so that is on March 21st, so a couple of weeks. And then I want to highlight one of our closest partners, Rainier Prep, is back in the water. They started in February, so they are back to their 2 days a week swim lessons. I believe we have about 18 kids in that class, so very good group. Some of them are returning. They know our instructors, which is awesome. And then one last highlight. This will be most likely presented. Well, you'll see it in our Q1 reports, but swim club registration currently bursting even more at the seams from when I wrote this report. So we did when we built the dynamic schedule, we built it with the anticipation of ramping up for the spring and summer season. So we do have some timing to expand. starting in April for Mako Sharks, but, one thing in that, one of our, longtime, well, Kennedy Catholic High School, this was presented at TPAC as well, is choosing to swim at Normandy Park Swim Club, or Normandy Park Pool, for their girls water polo season. I don't have an update on their girls swim season, but it's fair, it makes sense to them, it's the only time they could get their officials in. So, you know, we highly support it, and we encourage it, and they just know that there's other space, if they, you know, are looking for space, we'll see, but, with that being said, that means there's more increased space available, so right now we're trying to figure out, how we can either creatively program in that space, if there's any, other teams or other clubs that may be looking for that really niche hour. It's really just 4 to 5 p.m. right now that, we're looking to fill, so, right now we have partnered with Air Care in the water, taking up some of that time, so we'll see how it goes, but that's really the highlight that I have. And we hired a head guard too for the open control.
Was that internally hired or?
External hired, come with a lot of experience, from the Y, they worked on a couple of Ys. But all the things, they were, so, yeah, just trying.
I know Di, Ellen and I get to on Friday nights enjoy the Mako Sharks. So I see how it's grown, and there's a little boy at the community center whose grandpa works there, and he runs out to get to, like, I don't know, short bit on maybe. Yeah, his older brother's on it. He can't wait to be on it too. So it's so cute. So I see it all over.
Yeah, and it's, back to the importance of making sure, that we recognize why we started Mako Sharks. We understand that we are a year-round team, recreational, that does provide an opportunity for kids to swim non-competitively during the year, wherever they come from, but it is important that we have space available for our own swimmers that have been feeding and have been growing the club. So, making space is most important right now, especially as we're, getting ready for our summer season to start soon. And then, any report, there's any question?
No? Thank you. Okay. TPAC. If that's kind of neat. It was too crazy, it was kind of the unfortunate, 2 people are out right now, I think about trips and vacationing, and so it was member wise, only if you check even the dialogue. But we also had paid cookie, which didn't have any to stay. I kind of daily had on stuff, and so yeah, and then just kind of the, you know, operations update, which just got now. Feedback bylaws, which I think is kind of just sitting until there's everybody has the opportunity to actually meet it that are, you know, out of town and whatnot. For students, which still. 5/20/20, which is what we use evening, going to happen, and then those hazelnuts. Yeah. But. Good anymore.
Thank you. Just one little administrative note, I was in our chief.
Oh,
Yeah.
On the TPAC, P21 meeting
it's
minutes.
hard because we don't record them, so.
Yeah, no, I get it.
back. There, sorry, that was. Oh, am I missing anyone else? Is everyone?
And also, to be fair, I left it for this.
Well, I can't see.
Like there was a quick discussion about like the netting and stuff for waterfall, I guess it's kind of a not problem, yeah. Or no, I guess like we have the masters club, right?
Yeah, potentially through. Yeah, potentially for a while, until Mercer Island, Beach Club is back.
Oh, and I guess that was,
Mercer Island Beach Club, is having some problems with their concrete, forgot what they were called. I don't remember, but beams, concrete beams. So, it's another project that extended their timeline.
okay, I think we did that. And finance committee.
This one's easy.
Yeah.
No report. We didn't have a meeting in February. We'll be picking it up on April the 2nd for the next meeting. At 5:00.
Okay, that was super easy. Which now we go on to, won't be as easy, but the new, fund capital development committee 2.0 report.
I just want to first say that, you know, and I'm sorry, I go for Brad, like, really appreciate him. It's just really helped get the train start moving, like, you know, we're starting to look.
We're on a whole lot
Yeah, it's, you know,
of
but
like,
Brandy, you've just been, so great to help bring that expertise that we so desperately need, and, just take so many of these things so easily, and with, the questions we have is so effortlessly, answered or things provided, so really, I just want to first say thank you, it's been great. As far as updates, obviously location continues to be the priority for first quarter, and that's what we had all agreed on. That's the first quarter goal. So, moving forward on, we're doing the ARC, as because Brad mentioned, and meeting with architects. There'll be more discussion at CDC on that. There's some different properties that are added to the scope, because originally it was just for a TCC feasibility capacity, so a few extra properties. The good news is that TCC is plenty big enough. I mean, as far as what the actual scope for this work was, there's plenty of room there, and Randy's been bringing her expertise and her knowledge and her connections and stuff regarding geotech, so more to come on that, but it's, you know, all good stuff, so really appreciate that. I'm just gonna move on. There's a lot of stuff that we can just in the packet. I'm not gonna go through. Grants funding. I know people are probably interested in that. That starts for kids is on track for submission this week. It is due March 13th which is Friday at 2 p.m. We're gonna be submitting it Thursday at the latest. Thank you to Jerry's grant writer friend in Mexico. That was super helpful to have eyes on it. Brad and Anastasia, thank you for the input there. And Jen from Seattle Parks Foundation got some eyes on the questions. So that's all being really helpful and collaborative. We're continuing to identify other grants, creating a timeline so that site control continues to be the recurring requirement in all of these. So that's gonna be just gonna keep coming up on all of them. It'll be important, but capital campaign is wrapping up. We're just waiting on some of the deliverables. It's been a good experience working with Shamrock, the consultant. So Jerry's been there on most of those meetings too. So it's great having you there, Jerry, too. I appreciate that. And I know Brad does too. It's gonna be really important though to keep this project in front of all levels of elected officials to secure appropriations and grants. So just to keep it in front, and that's something that I think Brandy has mentioned to us several times, but our Seattle Parks Foundation. So that's gonna be one of the roles that I'm not just the grant pieces, but the elected officials and keeping those connections or creating connections and stuff, so that's gonna be important. There's a reminder, Executive Director Brian Thomaser from South Whitby will be at our next CDC meeting, that we submitted questions to him today. Super nice guy, and so that'll be at that meeting. Our next meeting is on March 17th at 4 p.m. Brandy, Brad, I know, just Anything you'd like to add?
Nothing major. I think the bigger thing tonight is the goal. I want to back up to a comment Vanessa made regarding sites and TCC being explored. TCC is being explored as a viable site currently. Other sites have also slowly come to the forefront and are being loosely looked at in terms of size, scale, pros, cons, so on and so forth. The data is being compiled, we're looking through it. The goal would be to share the list of properties, pros, cons, of each of the identified sites. And in April, have a discussion at the board meeting, give everybody some time to think about it after the board meeting, and then call a special meeting to really narrow down to the preferred 2 sites. I think one of the challenges we're having right now, as we've discussed internally as a team, is where we investing our time and effort. It can't be across the board in 5, 6 different locations. So at some point, we need to start narrowing the focus to start really digging in to site feasibility if we are interested in one over the other, but we also need a backup. If something fails in a preferred site, or ultimately does not, we don't want to delay the project by 2 years. And I say that as a scare tactic.
No, it's not,
Unfortunately.
it's not.
But we say 1 year, but it's the way I've been looking at it based on what we've accomplished to date. If we continue to go down one path and we get a no, we're starting over again and we're re-scrambling and we're trying to figure out new sites. So we want 2 viable sites that we can explore and put in front of the board to get your recommendation on where you would like us to continue to move and steer the work. Because what comes out of that discussion is going to allow us to effectively budget appropriately based on those 2 locations, what needs to be done on those locations, and how it kind of fits the overall development goals of what we're trying to accomplish as an organization. So tonight, nothing needs to happen. It's more, the bigger piece is, and I wish Debbie was here, but I'll email her tomorrow. It's what do you all need to make a calculated, informed decision to get to a comfortable place where you can say, based on what you presented us, these are the 2 sites we would be interested in exploring and supporting. But what materials, what information could we provide, or how do we help you make that decision? How do we give you enough information to make that decision?
And
Knowing-
just to support what Brad's saying, I mean, and we really do need to have a preferred site and a backup. I'm just gonna be honest, it's not 2 sites parallel, because otherwise we're doing double the work. We need to have a preferred site and a backup. Is that, Brandy, if I state this correctly?
Yeah, and I think the next stage at your preferred site will include the outlay of funds to do further investigation on geotechnical and some of that kind of stuff. So you don't want to do that on 2 sites, right? That would be really expensive. But we do, I think it is a good idea to do a preferred site and a backup site that we keep active.
So one of the documents, just as an example, that we'll put in front of the team as we continue to build it out. I'm not sharing one tonight, but just a quick visual is we're going to do a 11 by 17 list, pros, cons, details on each site, whether there's acquisition, lease, size, what it fits, what are the constraints, so on and so forth, so folks can kind of see it all on one page. But if we can get any and all other information available to you, what information would help you kind of digest what we're intentionally putting in front of you? What would you need to start exploring the idea of picking 2 sites? What would be helpful?
Well, Brad, I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about sites in a public meeting. You know, like if you've thought about 2 sites, I don't think it's appropriate or well advised to talk about those sites right now in this meeting.
Well, we're not talking about the sites right now in this
But
meeting. We're
what I
talking about-
need is something that's site specific.
So
So
you would like site-specific
I
information?
need to get more information about where we are in certain negotiations.
Okay, thank you, that's helpful. What else do we need?
If we're going to, obviously we have to cull down the list. You can't have 20 sites or 12 or even, 2 that you can run side by side, but there needs to be clear, objective reasoning for these. We're talking about, we have been at our current site for over 50 years. People are used to it there. I know people hate change. I get all that. But if we are thinking of changing location, that needs to have some very heavy thought to it and a lot of explanation, because I can recall what happened when the city said they were going to close the site. Now, I understand we're not closing the pool, but to a lot of people, it doesn't matter because they're used to it where it is. And if you're going to move it, to them, it's just as well as closing it. And then the other thing that I think definitely needs to be discussed is wherever we end up, that if we're cohabitating, that we need to keep in mind that we are a separate entity. However, when you cohabitate, that seems in people's views, they don't think about it. They think that you're all one entity, and that could be a big problem. So I think that, as we get closer to talking about sites, we need to have a closed meeting, an executive session, because it's not appropriate to do, even what I've done tonight is not appropriate. But you asked what we need, and I think we need a lot more clear, reasonable, logical explanations and plans to communicate that, because I think we're probably the only people who know we're talking about possibly moving the pool. I even asked somebody who doesn't have any bias involved in this relationship, and they were like, oh, no, I don't think they know anything. And I'm like, so as much as we think we're great communicators, I believe that that is not how other people see us. And I think that we could be in for a huge amount of disappointment if we don't address some of that immediately. And clearly. I think a lot of pussyfooting around is not helpful. And I believe you can all agree that I've been saying this for quite some time.
If there are sites that would require potential negotiations, isn't potential real estate acquisition eligible for
Executive session.
executive session?
Yeah, it has to, yeah. What do you think, Jerry?
A lot. So I just want to understand, it sounds like, well, obviously, yes, it does have to be an executive session, which we can do at a special meeting. Is that correct? Do I have that right? We can do an executive session, special meeting type meeting. So I'm.
Well,
Go
we
ahead.
could do it tonight if we want. I'm not saying we are, but we could do it tonight if we wanted. It's on the agenda as a listed item.
Right, but I'm not prepared to do it tonight.
No.
I'm just thinking that maybe before the board meeting in April, that we have a special executive session meeting sometime in the first week of April. I don't know. It seems like there may be some information for everybody to have to go through and get. I don't know if that's possible to have that information. It's just something I'm throwing out there. But yes, what Ellen is saying is a lot of good information.
And that's a good idea, Jerry.
Just making sure nobody's talking because I can't hear anything.
No, nobody's talking.
Okay, just checking.
Alright. Do you have anything else you wanted to put in there for,
Do you have anything to say?
I never had anything to say.
You always have something to say.
No, I mean, I agree, I think these are, some of the discussion, unfortunately, like, should be happening, the initial start discussion should be executive session, so we can talk about all these things, stuff out that we shouldn't put out there. But I also agree that the sooner that we figure it out, the better, and the sooner we make it to the public, the better, and, start working on letting people know that, we do need to move from the current site to wherever site we're moving to, the more time to get them ready for it, the better.
Randy, do you have anything to add to that with your, expertise or?
I think it would be great to have to be able to have a very open conversation in executive session about what the options are.
Yeah, whatever, I think we need to remember as well, in order to have that conversation,
We
I
still,
think clearly what I heard, at least from one person, is site-specific information to be able to have that open, honest conversation about each of the options. So I'm looking for, what do you want and what type of information first, how do you digest that during that executive session and the closed door session to have an open, transparent conversation?
But also,
What
Brad,
can we bring to the table?
if people think of things, which, they can send it to you.
I understand, but I just want to reiterate, the question is, because we don't want to get to a conversation and then start calling executive session after executive session after executive session. If we can do the work now, what can we provide you to be well informed, to have that robust conversation?
I'd like to know the status of all communication regarding locations with every location that you looked at, what the status is, and what the players are saying.
Thank you.
And not just our view of it.
I mean, we keep something like a lot of these meetings, even if if he wants to, for me, the biggest thing is, access, like, with transit, where we're at, within walking distance or whatever.
And kind of like a SWOT of different locations.
I think there's 6 that we're looking at. Pardon? 6 sites that we're looking at currently.
Ready to keep emailing Brad. And maybe during the next CDC meeting, we can kind of put that list together a little more solid.
I guess, I'm open, my meetings, I'm open to anything, if we're ready for it, I'm open to, moving things.
Anything else for any of it? Jerry, you good?
Yeah, that's good. Yep.
Brandy, do you want to say anything? This is your big thing for this.
To do. All good things to make sure we have addressed on this matrix so you can see the information for each site.
Okay, well then let's move on to the really fun part, business. The first one will be for policy 220.
Commissioner Zappa makes a motion to approve policy 220.
Commissioner Gendler, second.
And is there any discussion on this?
Well, I like how 3.1.8.1 direct people to, the advisory committee bylaws instead of trying to recreate everything in multiple documents, especially if they change, it's just easier.
This did go through CPAC. I feel like I just want to clarify, we did put this in front of CPAC. And the only major note is just as they're working through their bylaws, just adding, a note to prefer their representation on the committees. We all would prefer the representation, so I just want to make that clear. That was the most major conversation that came out of CPAC, as well as referencing the bylaws versus having committee level, like Ellen said, specific information.
And I think they said they full feedback. So they might have the option for doing it, we would love to have it, but not every requirement. They correct when, you know, good challenges. All things. I guess we don't really have. We're kind of only for this.
No, it's not, that's not a resolution.
Yeah, so.
Policy for-
So we're all good.
So do we vote on that then?
Any discussion about this policy? Or would we like to, you know, take this motion to full vote? All right, all in favor of the motion to pass the revised version of policy 220, say aye.
I,
Motion passes. And then we'll do basically the exact same thing, policy 520, if there's anybody wants to make a motion.
Mr. Zach, I'll make motion to approve policy 520 is presented.
Mike?
Oh, I second that, sorry.
Thank you. I guess we can lose the purpose of this, procurement policy establishes the approval procedures for purchases by employees of the pool, metropolitan park districts, and establishes purchasing authority levels, purchasing procedures, and reporting requirements of purchases. That's an extra out of the law here. Anyways, any discussion?
No,
I mean, I think it's all pretty much the same line as like some changes to credit cards and who the names of position.
Well, I'm just really pleased because it's gonna improve accountability, it like improves the accountability and compliance, so I'm really happy to see this addition.
Any other discussion? All in favor of motion for approving policy 520, say aye.
I,
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, that was easy. All right, now we're looking at the officer appointment for the finance committee, also known as the fund committee. By some.
I'm gonna go ahead and just speak real quickly about that because I've been on finance fund committee for the last, I believe, 3 years at least. That at this, I'm entertaining others to go ahead and move into that position because I'm considering moving to the CDC committee. But I'm open to staying on finance if nobody wants to do it. Just putting that out there so people know.
Brad, I just wanna ask you, did Debbie indicate any preference or willingness to be on any committee?
Not at the moment.
Okay, because we can't appoint anyone if they're not here anyway, so, okay. I'm gonna be honest, I wanna stay on CDC.
Yeah.
I really would like to stay there, so, but I'm looking at two people, would they be willing to look at finance or, you know, any?
Ellen, do you have a preferential choice of what you would like to maybe hang out and do, if you have to, and nobody has to.
I'm concerned about the makeup of the CDC committee. I think it seems to be shifting into one POV, and I don't know that that's necessarily good for the district.
Which, I mean, I think, you know, and this will be a new committee, and the ad hoc will be, you know, basically it's already been taken away.
Right.
So, you know, along with the new policy that gets passed, that will be having two people from the, you know, board on that committee. So do we have, that's the next discussion, I guess, but I guess, I mean, it's all one discussion, right? So, I mean, personally, you know, I'm not a finance person. And so I'm all like, oh, it sounds great to sit around for the capital. But I also see Jerry has put her time in, with finance and has done like an amazing job at it, and so it's almost like hard to see her not being on that. But then, you know.
Can I comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, finance, I don't think you have to be a finance whiz. I think with the support that we provide, as operations and finance, just kind of being, again, checks and balances and the oversight based on policy and procedures and whatnot. And Jerry and I discussed this for a little bit in January, February. Finance it's a well-oiled machine, right? It's very structured. We know exactly what we're coming into these meetings to accomplish because policy dictates it. So we're just looking for some oversight based on spending thresholds, policy approvals. There is work regarding budget that comes up. This has been a really smooth year for budget. I think Jerry would agree with that. We've discussed that internally. We're really happy with this last budget process. So I just don't want finance to be this daunting experience for folks when really our meetings were able to get in and out. In a probably a good hour and a half. Not that should entice anyone to sit as the committee chair, but yeah, I just wanted to share. It's not as daunting, but plenty of support there for anyone that chooses to chair that committee and or be a second.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the finance committee for years, and I had some fun. But it really, I think the benefit of having people serve who maybe not necessarily, that's not their raison d'etre or whatever, it actually gives good perspective of understanding the district and all the pieces and how it works. So I learned a great deal when I was on finance committee, and enjoyed it. That's why I still show up to a lot of them.
No, and I would agree with that. When I first took it on, I was scared to death because I was not, but it's, like I said, it's been a very good learning experience. And like I said, I'm happy to continue. I'm sorry that Debbie's unable to attend this meeting tonight because we can't appoint her to anything. But no, I mean, I felt the same way when I started. I think it's been 3 years, maybe it's 4, I'm not sure. But yeah, it was overwhelming. I was scared. Now it's kind of like, you know, okay. You know, so I've learned a lot and it's been very, very rewarding for me.
We want to hold our appointing until Debbie can join us for this discussion and move appointments to next board meeting. Just a question for now, or not to delay anything, but I don't know what that looks like.
I don't have any issue with that, but I don't know because it's in the policy that our terms expire at the end of March.
Well, should we set up a temporary thing for just having a couple people on the committees for the next month or 2 months even?
But I also heard Ellen say that she was concerned about having 2 people who have maybe similar views. I think that's what I clearly heard. Yeah, so Ellen, I'm curious, what committee would you like to serve on if you were to serve on a committee?
Do you want to do a 1 month free trial?
So optimistic of you. You know, I also have been on the finance committee. And,
It's fun together.
huh?
It's fun together.
Yeah, it was fun. You know, my, I would not have a problem being on the finance committee.
So, and I'm hearing Jerry would continue on it. Would, and I know you've been coming to these, I know you've been enjoying that.
Right, and I can vote on the notes, even if I was to finance.
Yeah.
So, and then like I said, I probably way overdue for sitting on the finance committee. But, like that,
Well, I guess the same question to Aaron,
Yeah,
without having to, which committee would you really want to sit on?
well, I mean, we have a choice, we,
Yeah.
like, of course, for building the pool, that's
no,
why.
I mean, I'm actually kind of hearing.
But there's always next year and the year after, and like I said, there is always, like I said, going to the meeting, that's not limited.
But I'm actually hearing an alignment already. You know, I hear Ellen saying she'd be, you know, willing to do finance. I hear Jerry saying she'd be willing to stay on finance. I know I've said that I would like to stay on capital development. Aaron says that's where his heart is. It seems that it could naturally align that way. I'm just having a conversation here.
Well, I will say that, you know, all of our meetings are, you know, what are they, published? They're published meetings already. And so, you know, the board is 5 people. You know, it's a majority rule kind of thing, unless we want to introduce a different kind of thing, but another conversation. So if people, you know, if I'm concerned, I can come to the CDC meetings, but I just really want everybody to be very intentional. Finance is kind of black and white. It's, you know, you got a budget. You know, my biggest concern is we need to, you know, have a plan for more revenue because we're going to need more revenue, period. And we have to figure that out. But CDC is much more squishy right now. And I don't believe that we would serve the Twilla residents, or we would serve all of our current people who come and the people who even don't know about it, if we only have, you know, one strong voice and nobody's saying anything else opposing it. And that's a real problem for me. And I don't know what the solution is.
I mean, there's a CDC.
So, yeah, I mean, like you said, everyone can come to the meetings, and I guess I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Ellen to finance, but I'm just gonna start it.
I would approve that if Ellen is wanting.
Sorry, I'm sorry,
No, I already said
I
I.
think sure.
Oh, okay. You would entertain if somebody were to may have already made that motion. Then I second the motion.
But there's 2 positions, and what are we talking about?
Are we looking at one person being a larger?
Position, one position two. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I'd prefer Jerry to hang out, but, you know, at this point, we'd only have me
Well,
if
Yeah,
Jerry left.
right, but this is just a position number. We can appoint people to any position number. So,
Well, I know, but position 1 only has a year left. Oh, it's over.
yes, oh,
No, so then you have 2 years.
no, it's over, so it doesn't really matter at this point.
Oh, they both are, okay. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah, I don't care. Well, 2 is my,
I'll say you want to say number 2. so you're not-
Okay,
right?
so I make a motion, sorry, Anastasia. I make a motion to appoint Ellen to finance committee position number 2.
Are you going to second that motion?
I have full confidence in Ellen. I worked with her carefully on finance.
But
I said, I have full confidence in Ellen. I've worked with her very carefully for a long time on numbers.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of appointing Commissioner Gangler into Finance Committee is position number 2. It's a 2 position. Sorry, I remember it's right. For that,
One, yeah.
position 2, the time will end
Oh,
for 2-year term.
position, so position number 1 would be ending on March 31st, 2027. Oh, sorry, she was position 2, yeah, sorry, 2020,
March 31st,
28, 28, right? Say that?
Yes, appointing Ellen to position 2 for Finance Committee, with the term beginning April 1st, 2026 and ending March 31st, 2028.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Right.
I,
I abstain.
Okay, the motion still passes. Okay, position number 1. I guess it's going down to Jerry. Do you want to stay or do you want to go?
wow, that's a tough one, Erin. Thank you. Nothing like putting me on the spot. I would stay, but I think it's time that I move on from that position. It's open. We did this policy 220 so that everybody had that rotation to be part of it. It may be daunting, but it's not daunting. So no, I'm gonna step down from finance.
Always wanting to be number 1. Obviously there's not too many choices, so.
Yeah.
If I have to hang on with Ellen, I'll put it out there that if somebody was to make a motion for that.
Commissioner Dodd makes a motion to appoint Erin Shipman to position number 1, expiring on March 31st, 2027.
Second, Maria.
Again, the only thing I'm gonna say is that we need strong voices on all of our committees. It's not good to just have 1 or 2 voices. But with that, I'll go ahead and nominate you, Erin. We always have a good time.
Well, we know that we use 1 strong voice.
We know Finance Committee will be very loud.
Alright, so, so the motion on. Oh, yeah, so we don't have, don't worry. So for Finance Committee position number 1, there's a motion for Commissioner Shipman, myself, to be put in that position, for a 2-year term ending in 2027. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And abstain.
Jerry, are you voting?
Jerry?
I think I saw a silent aye.
Yeah, I said aye. I did. I said aye.
All right.
I know that we already, can I just say something really quick here? Because I know we already voted for finance and that's great. But I am feeling a little uncomfortable that Debbie's not able to be a part of this. And I don't know where that's going to be left because now we're going to be going into the CDC committee. And I agree with what Ellen is saying that we need very strong voices at the table. So if I decide that I do not want to be part of the CDC, that only leaves 1 person. Because Debbie's not here to be the second person or whatever.
Right.
Just stating that for the record.
I would like to state for the record that you know, the agenda was published and people can attend the meeting. And if they don't attend the meeting, then that's a choice.
But I also, I think I asked Brad right at the very beginning of this process, if Debbie had any, and you said not at this time, is what I think I heard.
In the sense of,
She's just not here.
she's.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I won't speak for Debbie in terms of education. I think that's a question for Debbie and for Debbie to really consider.
But I'm gonna speak with Ellen actually, that if someone had, like I said, the agenda's published and if someone has a strong feeling on it, they have an opportunity to write in and say, I would accept a nomination, or I would like to be part of X, Y, or Z, so.
And again, just because she's not sitting in an official position for it doesn't mean she can't attend.
I'm confident she would.
And she already has, right, so. I was gonna give you one shot. So, yeah, and like I said, if she, does come back and was like, I really wanted to be on this committee, then maybe one of us would be willing to step down and, let her have it, for.
Absolutely.
2 years. So. And
Well,
then
and all of
we'll-
our meetings are published. I mean, anybody can go to any meetings, finance, TPAC, CDC, any of them at
and
any
then
time.
opportunity kind of eased into her first year and not have to say, even though, like I said, again, 1 year from now, we'd probably sitting here and saying, well, maybe we want somebody to be stepping off. I don't have time for this committee anymore. Can somebody else take the position and then we do that like news? Maybe. Or 6 months or whatever. Okay. So we're good with that? All right. So, that's the finance committee. Congratulations to all the people that will be having fun. Crunching numbers and approving things that are over $10,000. 20.
Under 20.
Under 20, so yeah, over 10, not 20. Yeah, so see, I'm already like so far ahead. Okay, so that takes us to, again, almost the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But for the Capital Development Committee, CDC, serve appointments. Let's just get this one over with because there's 2 people left. So I want to put out for you number one for putting a lot of effort into it. For the previous ad hoc committee, Commissioner Powell.
That's my number.
Number one, or number.
Number 1 is a 1-year position.
Yeah.
Number 2 is a 2-year position.
Oh.
Correct. Number 1,
So I would be interested if Jerry and Vanessa, what their preference is.
so what's your preference, Jerry?
I have no preference. I don't mind the 2-year or the 1 year. I'm open to that, whatever.
And like I said, I'm sure that if things change, we can always change things around. People's schedules change. Okay. So that's my motion that we,
You're nominating Vanessa
nominate Vanessa
for,
for position number 1.
okay. I second that.
Is there any discussion?
Just a reminder that we represent the citizens.
Noted.
Thank you, Erin.
So all in favor of appointing Commissioner Clapsall to position number 1 on the Capital Development Committee, say aye.
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 Motion passed.
I make a motion that we nominate Jerry Frangelo Anderson to position number 2 of the CDC.
Commissioner Zappa seconds.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Jerry. You're gonna have fun on this one too, I promise.
You bet. I always try to.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to, put Commissioner Jerry Frenchel Anderson into the Capital Development Committee, position number 2, which is a 2-year appointment, ending, March 2028.
Wow.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
I abstain.
Motion passes. Okay. Well, that's all the official business. So we'll go back to the number 1, number 2. That Commissioner report.
Yeah, so other than CDC, attended weekly Seattle Parks Foundation public meetings and weekly owners truck meetings. Those are really fun so far. And our ARC meetings and our RNC too, and I think Gary was there at the time, and those are very informative. I did a check-in with our county grant manager. The next park levy grant will open in the fall. So that's something we really want to keep an eye on, and if we have the contract signed with the county, it sounds like we will be able to apply for this next round of levy funds, which will be super helpful, so that's something we're definitely looking to. I connected and had a Zoom discussion with a Department of Commerce King County representative, Chris Leving, and he further connected me with the Department of Commerce grant manager, Chelsea Begel, and the King County Play Equity, and I think Brad knows Cha-Cha, and potential opportunities. He's gonna also keep us on his radar for funding opportunities. So I connected via email with the Department of Commerce grant manager to identify funding opportunities. There's a small opportunity coming up this spring. Jerry sat in on a Zoom meeting about that a month or so ago, and she also suggested several public grant opportunities, and she will too also keep us on her radar, which is great. And tomorrow I'm gonna have a Zoom meeting with King County Play Equity representative Cha-Cha Sawyer, I believe his last name, and to learn more about their projects and to keep our project on their radar. Just that's going to be interesting. I'm going to look forward to reporting back on that. I reconnected with Adam Smith's office, and I connected with Senator Murray's office to check on the possibility of congressional direct spending for fiscal year 2027. Unfortunately, swimming pools are specifically excluded, so that for this round. But state legislators, but the state is still on the plan. So all those connections, and we're going to have a spreadsheet where with different tabs of the different levels of elected officials with a communication log, so that anyone can look at it and see who was communicated on when and about what, so that, you know, if anyone wants to know what the status is, it's going to be very easily accessible. End of my report.
I just wanted the board to be aware that the Tukwila School District has the pool on their agenda for tomorrow as part of their strategic visioning. So that might be something that the Tukwila pool might want to attend or speak at. I've really been enjoying the water aerobics program, and thank you, Brad. The lady said that the last thing you did to secure the net was, or I'm sorry, Anastasia, the last thing you did to secure the net was helpful. And they're not sad that the water polo people are leaving.
But yeah, the team, it was a meeting of the minds. Everyone worked together on that one.
Jerry, you have a report?
Or is Debbie didn't know about yet, Jerry's next.
No, I have no report.
Have you been to any pools at your current location?
Any ideas for?
So we can maybe get an idea of what you might be helping to promote on the new CDC as decision number 2.
What? You're really hard to hear, Aaron. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, if you've seen anything like for resort life, like pools or.
Oh, right.
Might have to.
Yeah.
Go.
No report. I have a very small pool here. It's only 4.5 feet deep.
Oh, point. Thank God you've got the ocean.
Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know, I had some meetings for the, now known as BDC. I just love it. And the ARC, which is along with that. I did go to the boys high school state swimming AAA championship and like the 4A, which was pretty fun to get to go to that and ran into, quite a few people that I swam with, which is kind of funny, that were coaching and are part of it. But the one thing I will say that came away from it was minus of the excitement of getting to see, competitive swimming. And even though, I think that that's not necessarily like our highest priority being able to have a venue for competitive swimming. It did make me think about that there is, financially things might be made. And after speaking with some of the people from that saying, yeah, if you built a large enough pool with enough deck space and parking, we would be more than happy to rent space for doing, larger meetings. So, yeah. Just something to add on there. It's kind of interesting to talk to kind of multiple people that were like, really, you guys are building a new pool. How about that? How many energy you putting in, So, I mean, I guess it just shows that like, all these things we're putting out there, like, there are people that they're not talking to that are saying the same exact thing regionally in the area that we do need more pool space.
So did your boys have a good, experience there?
Well, let me come to quote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have my own personal enjoyment of watching
Competitive swimming.
competitive
Did they have diving too, or is it
They
just?
did diving, and the diving was good. There was a couple that were exceptional,
Oh,
that were kind of almost mind blowing, after the diving and everything. And there was some, state records were made, so that's always impressive to get the run off the state record, and substantial, just good. Wow, that kid was fast. So cool. And then, and I guess just as a little side thing for the morning swimming group that I used to with, a lot of them just went to Finland
I went to Finland?
for the winter championship swimming, and we have some gold medalists.
Wow, that's amazing. We should take pictures with their medals and put them on the wall.
But yeah, but in particular, was Scott Baughman, and he actually went with all of his siblings, and I guess we're kind of the top of the town because I think between the 6 of them, they walked away with 33 medals.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
Awesome. Yeah, you can put that on social media.
It's kind of fun to have our little, couple more people from our pool on the world stage.
Well, I think it would be great to let people know. That's awesome. Very
That's
cool.
for me.
You really downplay that this morning.
Yeah.
It's nice to be back in warm water.
And for reference, it was it was 30 degrees.
Oh my
The water
goodness.
temperature was a negative air. So it was quite impressive. So that's it. Any miscellaneous, any other miscellaneous you want to throw out real quick?
Well, I just want to point out to what you said about, events and program. I mean, it should be interesting I would hope that the CDC is very interested in looking at financials from, the Federal Way pool that was built for the Goodwill Games that is supposed to just be a competitive swimming. How did they do? I mean, when we keep saying that, we keep hearing that there's lots of demand for water. And I've been to the pool often. I mean, not like every day, not like Anastasia Prep, but it seems like I'm not seeing a huge amount of people.
Well, I think it's during the prime time, though, people want to be able to use it for high school swimming and for youth school clubs, and that's limiting time, and then limiting time on weekends for being able to rent pools for having swim meets. Which, if we end up having a separate, a lane pool that is separate from the more day-to-day, family-friendly, warm water space, should be able to have, smaller swimmings, use that as a revenue. all things to be discussed in the future.
Aaron, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Well,
No? Oh,
we
miscellaneous?
don't have any executive session stuff, so I just want to make that clear to everybody.
Very thorough.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that. Final motion of the evening though.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adjourning the March 9th BoC meeting? Gosh.
Aye.
I.
Aye.
Adjourned at 7:25.
Right. Hi, Jared, good to see you.
Yeah.
Bye, nice seeing you all. See you in 3 weeks.